Good morning. I am out here in Worcester. I'm taking a day off from riding. There is a great vlog about the porcelain and that Paula and I did last year sometime. I'll put the link in description, or you can just scroll down. But I'm going to go and see what we can find out here today. I got pulled into this shop. Look at this. You can have this bike for free if you buy a £9,500 watch battery. I thought it was such a great joke. I went and talked to the chap inside and he's lovely. In the TikTok shop. But he was saying that one day somebody rang him up one Sunday and said to him, "Oh, if I buy a battery, can I have the bike?" He said, "Yeah, but you've got to spend £9,500. And the guy didn't kind of get it really, but there you go. Hannah Schnell was born here as well. Famous female soldier. Just across the street from TikTok Watches is a free entry Tudor House Museum. Open Wednesday to Saturday 10 till 4. This Tudor house was built in 1550 and with originally 3 properties. This room was the master's room and known as the best room in the house, and often the owner would conduct his business meetings from here, and largely it was used for people who made textiles and fabrics. But later on, as we will see when we go downstairs, that changed and it became a pub or a house of ill repute. Worcester was famous in the 16th century for its production of high quality woolen broadcloth, which was prized for its warmth and waterproof nature. I need some of that from riding on my bike, I think. It says here that in 1469 Worcester was making nearly 500 lengths of cloth on a par with Norwich, a far larger city. That's my hometown. This purse was used by Prince of Wales, Prince Charles, now King Charles, in 2008 to pay a debt from 1651 when Charles II arrived at Worcester with his army in a ragged state, hotly pursued by the parliamentarian army led by Oliver Cromwell. And the clothier company here in Worcester were commissioned to make new uniforms and presented a bill for £453.03. Well, that debt was never settled. He never paid it. But good old Charlie boy did. He didn't pay it with interest, because then it would have been £63,000 and today it would be over £71,000 with inflation. In the 17th century, controls that were exerted by the corporation and other clothiers detracted from other people coming and opening their textile businesses here. So they went to other cities and slowly it went into decline. By the end of the 17th century, there is no record of any cloth being made in the city of Worcester, and the city struggled to get any other large industry to take its place. Although there was the porcelain and the Worcester china. I can't remember what year that was, but I'll try and find out by the end of the day. Look what I found. There's dressing up clothes. Which I would fall off, were used for walking over the farmyard. I think I prefer my welly boots.
I've got to say, I prefer a pair of Birkenstocks.
Oh, yeah, we've got our Birkenstocks.
I'll walk across the farmyard in these any day.
I do wear moody ones though, because they're vegan, apart from when I borrow Paula's, because I left mine in the bike. In 1909, Richard Cadbury, who was part of the Cadbury family, bought the 3 houses that stood here, and he turned it into a bakery and coffee shop and chocolate place as well. But he helped all the people who were in poverty to make sure they were nourished and fed, which is very kind. As Paula's just reminded me, downstairs was for the poor and upstairs was for the rich. In 1920, the Worcester Corporation bought these properties from Richard Cadbury to set up clinics. But obviously the NHS wasn't in place by then, so many people chose not to come to the clinic. So they set up the school examinations to check the head lice, check their teeth, check for ringworm. And I remember the knit nurse at school well into the 1980s. Oh no, I left school in 81. The 1970s. Trying to make myself younger then, wasn't I? During the war years, this became used by the ARP, the air wardens, and it also became the billeting office. And as well as rehousing people that had been afflicted by the war in the local area, they also took many children from Birmingham and London. After the war, and in 1948 with the introduction of the NHS, this continued to be a clinic, but obviously was more popular because then it was free. The reception area was downstairs where the Cross Keys pub was. And there was a dentist here and a clinic. It closed in 1970 when the City Council turned it into a museum, or the Museum of Life, until 2003 when it then shut. In 2004 it was brought back to life with the Worcester Heritage and Amenity Trust, which is an independent volunteers run here, and they're amazing. We've had a great trip. Can give donations too, so I'll be doing that very shortly. In the early 1600s to the 1900s, this was a pub called the Cross Keys, and it's kind of set out in the 18th century, 19th century style here, and it was just opposite the City Gaol, which is over there where the almshouses now are. There were 30 pubs, licensed houses in this street, but this was known as the worst of the lot, with illegal gambling, hiding things here that you shouldn't be hiding, like stolen goods, prostitution, fights and brawls, you name it. It all went on here. So William Welfare was a weaver and the occupant of this number 40, because we're talking about houses number 38, 39 and 40. And it was at the time when the Worcester broadcloth was starting to die back, and he had been fined twice for the poor quality. So he needed to find alternative sources of income, so decided to turn his hand to brewing, which he did. And in 1654, this became a licensed place. In 1807, however, the tavern was the scene of a tragic accident. One of the staff had gone down to check the brewing, and either with the fumes or whether he drank too much, he fell in the vats and he died. And his wife then sued the owner, the landlord of this place, and he had to keep paying then for his children. She died a few years later from TB, and we don't know what happened to the 4 children, but presume they probably ended up in the workhouse on the hill. William Walker, the then owner of this tavern, having to pay for the compensation, he went bankrupt, and he then sold it to Richard Cadbury. From the times when this was later used as an office, you can see all the stiletto marks on the wood. What area of Worcester are we here? Is it Friar Street? Did I see? Friar Street.
It's one of the oldest streets in the city.
There's Paula. Oh, I just filmed this and just realised this is where we're coming for dinner tonight. A little bit of Thai, very excited. Food, real food. Imagine walking in there. I know you think you're permanently drunk even when you're sober, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Probably excited, and apparently this is where we're going. Where are we going? Oh, Greyfriars Home and Garden. Off we go. This is the garden apparently. We've got to turn back and head to reception at number 14. Oh, the one I took back, the drunk house.
Yeah.
Oh, over here. Okay, so we've got to go. Trying to avoid all the people. Over here. Well, Paula's a member, so that's okay. She's already paid for, and I just told the lady that I got my access card on my +1. And that's it. We haven't had to pay anything. Usually it's £10 or £11 with a donation for an adult. Did I say it was National Trust? I don't think I did. Well, it is, isn't it, to do the yearly membership? Because you can go anywhere with it. And if you have a disability, then you just pay the one price for one person, and you get an essential companion for free. And that's an essential companion card, so it doesn't have to be a set individual. It can be anybody that you need to go with you. This house was commissioned to be built in the 1490s by Thomas Green, and it's made of oak panelling from the local wood area, and they're quite close together because then it makes it safer, because the wattle and daub is very easy to break into. He built it south of the smelly area, which was the slum area and the butchery area up there, because the wind blew that away mostly. So quite a sensible thing to do. The wood was made and got ready at Perry Wood, and what they do is they put little carpenter's marks on it. It was almost like a flat pack, so that when it came, they'd know where to put the boots. This is really lovely just to come and see. And when you think that this was here in King Henry VIII's time, Elizabeth I, and the Civil War. During the Civil War, there was a big fight out here. Over 3,000 royalists died and 10,000 were imprisoned, and many of them were sent off to America and Australia and sold. They tell the story here of over 5 families that lived here. I can't possibly remember all of them, but I know one of them was friends of Henry VIII and Jane Seymour. Was actually involved in the dissolution of the monasteries, one of which was next door, which later became the prison and is now the almshouse. But there were friars there that wore grey, and that is possibly why this is now called Greyfriars House. And in the 19th century, and as late as the 1930s, it was all fronted as businesses, including bakers, and I think behind there is a baker's oven. In the 20th century, this was occupied and restored by siblings Elsie and Matley Moore, and he was a dentist, and this was the waiting room for the patients. It's been a really nice visit. I thoroughly recommend it, but it's very uneven. There are some stairs to go up. It's very wibbly wobbly, so it's not great for the balance, but I did it. This is very exciting. Open air theatre, An Ideal Husband, Wild About Oscar, and The Importance of Being Earnest, all in here. What a lovely setting. If it doesn't rain, of course. Maybe I'll stay away and give everybody else a chance of a dry night. So I said I found out, so I did, or Paula did, with Google. The Worcester porcelain was from 1751 to 2008. This is inside the beautiful almshouses. What a lovely place to live. When you think once upon a time, this was the city jail. Obviously it doesn't look like this. And that is the original church from the monastery. It's dinner time.
Yes.
Paula's just saying there's a ferry that takes you to the other side. It's 50p. Is it still 50p nowadays? Yeah. Okay. And it's operated until the late 1950s and then reinstated in 1983. Only summer weekends and afternoons though. And the proceeds go to local charities. And these are all the flood plates of where the flood came to. And the very top one, the brass plaque, was the top in 1770. And that's the winner. And that's where my hand comes to. So it's pretty high. Hello. Just a few swans on the river. How cute is this? They've done little baby ones. There's Mr. Edward Elgar, who wrote Land of Hope and Glory. I just had some glory on the pinball machine.
Yeah, she had fun.
I had fun. Ta-ta for now.